Next step is where from here. Interestingly, if you have gone through the NEP report, you'll see that lot of emphasis has been given on the other dimensions of education. Lot of other dimensions. This at least is one first fundamental thing that, okay, this is rooted. And that's why you see, you hear a lot of noise against the NEP also because of that. It is not sacrosanct, it is not final, because there's a lot of debate that is to be done. But you realize that there's a lot of emphasis which is, there is this realization which is percolating that education is beyond what we are conditioned to believe it is. But obviously there is a status quo mindset which is very strong. Prime Minister himself engages directly with students. He has his ideas about education. Let's see. See, this itself is a dimension that today sitting we are talking about the supramental, but the digital dimension of the supramental. Fantastic. Earlier it was only those who went to the playground would be getting supramental. Then Sri Aurobindo said, I don't go to the playground, so I'll not get it. Now we are talking about the digital dimension. This itself, this is what is fantastic, because if you see, by the way, I always look at Sri Aurobindo's that Remington typewriter, that photograph. You see the typewriter is there in Pondicherry. So, he would have been easily comfortable in a laptop. Yeah, that was at that time, tuck, and it seems at the description, as the descriptions go, tuck, he would not even look at the keyboard. So he was fantastic. And if you look at those who were associated with him during his freedom movement period and even later in the ashram, they were all youngsters. All youngsters. During the freedom movement, they were all 18, in their 18, 16, 20, 21. And even in the ashram, in the early phase, all those who came. And my great-grandfather went back to Pondicherry and met Sri Aurobindo. So, and the evening talks used to take place in that veranda, Prosperity in front of Prosperity. And you have Kodanda Ramarao's that booklet at the feet of the master. And so he's writing that Upen Banerjee used to always try and draw Sri Aurobindo out. The only conversation that Upen would try and force on Sri Aurobindo was on politics. And Sri Aurobindo would very tactfully avoid answering Upen. So they were all They were in the 30s at that time. So, I think one question is that, means understanding what you're trying to say. I just made that point, post 40 you try and understand Sri Aurobindo. No, I think if you look at, very young people, youngsters come and, I bump into them and then they say, you have grown up in the ashram, or I am doing this reading of Sri Aurobindo, or, so I see that across, one is directly, across a cross-section of youth are actually getting fascinated or getting plugged into Sri Aurobindo and the mother. I think they automatically find for themselves their own messaging within that entire corpus of what both of them have physically left behind. One. Two is the indirect. If you look around, you see so many people across the world being inspired by very interesting things, doing interesting things, and then if you are aware, you can easily connect this. This is what Sri Aurobindo had sometimes indicated. This is what would happen. So I see a direct and an indirect way that is happening across the world, and I see this very clearly. And of course, what your experience that every day it comes direct, that is something obviously very unique. All of us have felt it in various ways. Like when Anuttama and me, we went up the Shankaracharya hill in Srinagar. When people said that it's all locked down, you cannot go. Why? Nothing. It was all normal. Morning, we walked up to the Shankaracharya hill, and then you walk up. There, you are at the crown of India, and you remember Sri Aurobindo's poem that he himself walked up to. So you are connected. Everywhere that I go, I think of him. Even if I am in the hinterlands of Mongolia, you think of him, you think of the mother, because one thing is physically you are carrying the blessings. So they are there with you. But then you are connecting in your own way. But I see this certainly, that this is happening, but out of the digital supramental, I'm really not but I'm sure there are many things one can absorb and understand also. They are self-renewing. Obviously they are self-renewing.
Hi, this is Manu. My question is, what given that we have 200 million strong minority community in the country, and there is increasing, extremism and radicalism going on, what do you think is the way to tackle it, and how is it going to affect the country over the next 2 decades?
You see, radicalization is not a problem only in India. It's a problem across Southeast Asia also. Indonesia as a country has a very concerted program of de-radicalization. Radicalization is a problem. Now, the issue is that as far as India is concerned, in Europe also, the problem is of radicalization. I mean, you have citizens, adopted citizens of that country, Charlie Hebdo and all that were all citizens of France. Issue is that in India there are two dimensions to it. One is the external dimension, that there is, because somewhere I have this, many of us I think feel, for example, if you look at Tamil Nadu today, I'm speaking of Tamil Nadu because Pondicherry is situated, we are all attached to Tamil Nadu in that sense. If you speak of Tamil Nadu, there is a very clear phase of radicalization that is going on in Tamil Nadu. And these phases of radicalization have their origins in points across beyond the borders of India. Now, why Tamil Nadu? I feel very concretely that because Tamil Nadu has always been civilizationally a repository of our spiritual and cultural heritage. And even now you see it is there, you see life there. So there is a very concerted attempt by groups to create situations where you start creating instability in these regions. Why India? Because India has a special, India, whether others recognize it or not, we know that it has a special role. It is carrying out some of that now. It is being able to do. And it has a huge role to play in the coming future, in determining the coming global order. So therefore, this extra attempt at radicalization, which is taking place. Now, if you look at the percentage, you said 200 million strong, the percentage of radicalization in that, very minor, very minute. That has to be recognized, and that is recognized. And within the community, there is a tremendous resistance towards this radicalization. So I see it this way, that in the coming years, especially after 370, क्योंकि आपने 370 हटा दिया, तो उनका वो जो a symbol of separatism, a symbol of radicalization, चला गया. That mindset that yes, you can also be Azad someday has taken a beating, gone. And we have traveled extensively in Srinagar, in Kashmir. We have covered during December last. No Kashmiri is bothered about Article 370. उनको सिर्फ लगता है बहुत अच्छा हुआ है, अभी आगे का क्या बताइए. We want more opportunities, we want this, we want that, ऐसा. And then when you tell them, look, under this 370, you had this huge population that you were discriminating against. The Dalits, women. How can this continue when we are saying that the constitution is applicable to the rest of India, except when Parliament passes all laws, this is applicable across India, except in 1964, even the Kashmiri members of Parliament, majority of them from the Congress, this Parliament debated for 3 months Article 370. That's another. But many of them from Kashmir said, "Bhai, humko ye, we feel so bad that every time Parliament passes the law, it says applicable all across, all over India, except." Why? So I think that removal of 370 has taken a beating. It has beaten the forces of radicalization. At the same time, it has given hope in youth, Kashmiri. Pulwama se youth, we have met youth from Pulwama. कहते नहीं जी, हम लोग इंडिया के साथ, हम लोग इंडियन हैं, हम भारतीय है दिल से. They're like that, they're very clear. So I think one is we have to push this narrative of sabka saath, sabka vikas, sabka vishwas, which PM added this time. This mentality of victimhood has to go. And this mentality of basing your politics on the sense of siege has to also go. Sri Aurobindo has that beautiful description, the clasp of the friend, or the in the arena, either the clasp of the friend or the embrace of the wrestler. It has to be the clasp of the friend. And radicalization is only in a certain section. And I don't believe that you are deprived of this, so you become radical. Sare technical experts, engineers radical ho jate hain. So you realize that the roots of radicalization are something else. It is not deprivation. It is also a fact from national security point of view, because I extensively travel across West Bengal, the border areas. Certainly, physically, and General Dua would bear me out, that yes, there are educational institutions, madrasas, which are being utilized for radicalization. One has to take note of that. Registered madrasas and non-registered madrasas. Non-registered madrasas have actually have become sources and centers of concern. And this is not today, for the last 15 years. Even when Advani ji was Home Minister, the then Chief Minister of West Bengal, Buddhadev Bhattacharya, was a Marxist, had raised the alarm. He was the Home Minister also. He raised the alarm. So these are national security concerns. As far as mindset is concerned, I think it's in a very minuscule portion of the community, and that can be tackled firmly to show that as a people we will not accept this kind of behavior. And on the other hand, sabka saath, sabka vikas, sabka vishwas. That has to be. And that is why I say I challenge anyone. I mean, not here, I'm not challenging you, but I say outside, I say anyone can prove me wrong. Show me one sentence or quote where Prime Minister Modi and his government have said that we will electrify that village because it is a Hindu village. We will not electrify that village because it's a Muslim village. There were 22 crore beneficiaries in the last 6 years. And these beneficiaries are cutting across communities and states and sections. That is the narrative of development that we have to push. Because development cannot be held hostage to politics. It has to be a narrative of that level, where you have the first right over resources because you are marginalized and poor, not because you belong to a particular community.